French President Emmanuel Macron has likened rising nationalism and anti-migrant sentiment in Europe to leprosy. Macron's comments come ahead of a meeting of European leaders to try and resolve the continent's migrant crisis. Macron has also urged the French citizens not to give in to the anti-EU sentiment. Now he said, and I quote, "I'm saying to you in the gravest terms, many hate it, but they have hated it for a long time and now you see them rise like leprosy all around Europe in countries where we thought that they would never reappear. These included friendships and neighbors who say the worst things and we become used to it." End quote. Now, Macron did not reveal to whom he was referring to, but France and Italy traded barbs in the past week over Rome's refusal to take in a boatload of migrants rescued in the Mediterranean Sea. The 629 passengers who were on board the Aquarius were also rejected by Malta before being taken in by Spain in a case which reflected mounting anti-migrant sentiment in Europe. Joining me on the program is our bureau chief from France, Taha Siddiqui. Taha, thank you for joining us on the program. We've heard what the French President Emmanuel Macron had said. In a way, if we can recall what was going to happen during the French presidential elections, there was also a fear of Frexit. What sort of tone is this and what does this imply?
Well, as far as President Macron is concerned, we've seen that, one of the main things that he campaigned for during his election campaign last year was that he wanted a more inclusive Europe, and with that he also said that he wanted France to lead when it comes to the acceptance of refugees and migrants coming from conflict zones. And similarly, we're seeing that the Macron government has been in the recent past making laws as such for facilitating the refugees, although there is some criticism from some quarters saying that these laws are sometimes creating further hurdles for some refugees without documentation. But overall, we've seen that the French government under Macron has been very facilitative and welcoming towards refugees, and this statement that comes today to talk about the nationalism in Europe is actually a reference to what we've seen in the last few months, and specifically just last week when we saw that there was a boat of migrants with at least over 600 migrants and had no destination to go to, and how Italy refused it. So similarly, we've seen that Germany has been positive and welcoming when it comes to refugees, but the southern parts of Europe have been negative or have been anti-migrants. And Macron is kind of playing that role of taking Europe on board and saying that we need to deal with the situation and we need to understand the gravity of it, and not give rise to nationalism or the politics of far right, which talks about negative in a negative sense when it comes to migration and these refugees.
Right. Thank you, Taha Siddiqui. Well, Pakistan allowed terrorists to occupy high office. Now, the terrorists belonging to Hafiz Saeed's political terror outfit, Milli Muslim League, are being taught nuances of social media and other skills to reach out to various voters. The Milli Muslim League is not registered as a political party with Pakistan's Election Commission. The MML now plans a social media blitz ahead of elections next month. Now, WION has learned that the political terror outfit of terrorist Hafiz Saeed has begun conducting social media workshops to reach out to the masses. Pictures show that the workshop focuses on camera handling, video editing, graphics designing and digital marketing for maximum reach. The terrorist members of Hafiz Saeed's group are banking on little-known political entity called Allahu Akbar Tehreek to field candidates, many of whom are known terrorists. The 2611 mastermind is fielding over 88 candidates for Pakistan National Assembly and 185 candidates for provincial assemblies. It is also learned that Saeed planned to field his own son, Talha Saeed, and son-in-law Khalid Walid in the upcoming elections, but will keep himself away. It looks like the United States' first couple are in a damage control mode. U.S. First Lady Melania Trump, after staying away from public eye for a very long time, made a surprise visit to the U.S.-Mexico border. This comes a day after President retreated on his immigration policy and signed an executive order to end his policy of family separation amid the enormous political pressure. The First Lady took part in briefings and attending a tour of non-profit social services center for children who have entered the United States illegally and a Customs and Border Patrol processing center. Meanwhile, Melania Trump has spotted wearing a jacket with its black reading. It says, "I don't care, do you?" To which President Donald Trump reacted in a tweet saying, "I really don't care, do you?" written on the back of Melania's jacket, which refers to the fake news media that he talks about often. Melania has learned how dishonest they are and she truly no longer cares. There were reports of thousands of children who have been separated from their parents in recent weeks as a direct result of the Trump administration's zero-tolerance policy on unlawful border crossings. On the other hand, President Donald Trump too seems to be making amends now on the U.S. immigration policy. He has officially invited the Democratic leaders to the White House to discuss immigration legislation. Speaking ahead of a cabinet meeting, Trump reassured that the holding centers at U.S.-Mexico border are one of the nicest and U.S. can offer. However, laid also emphasis on maintaining strong border. In a tweet later, he said, "We have to maintain strong borders or we will no longer have a country that we can be proud of. And if we show any weakness, millions of people journey into our country."
Take a look at some of the court rulings against the Obama administration. They talked about inhumane treatment. I read them. I looked at them. They're all over the place. Inhumane treatment. They were treating them terribly. We have a situation where some of these places, they're really running them well. And I give a lot of credit to Secretary Nielsen and all of the people that have worked. It's the nicest that people have seen. But it's still something that shouldn't be taking place.
Meanwhile, the U.S. House of Representatives defeated a Republican bill designed to significantly reduce visas for legal immigration used into the United States and to temporarily protect illegal dreamer youths from deportation. The House defeated the measure on a vote of 193 to 231 as a group of Republicans who joined Democrats to sink the plan. The House had been scheduled to vote on a second immigration bill on Thursday that could appeal to more Republicans, but Republican leaders postponed consideration of that measure until Friday as they sought to build more support.
The bill is not passed.
The Indian Embassy in the United States has established contact with 2 immigration detention centers with nearly 100 Indians are detained. Reports suggest these Indians are mostly from Punjab and were detained for illegally entering the country through its southern border. The Indian Embassy said in a statement, and I quote, "We have established contacts with both the detention facilities. A consular official has visited the detention facility in Oregon and another one is scheduled to visit the facility in New Mexico on June 26th. We are trying to establish facts. We will provide all help to our citizens," end quote. According to officials, around 40 to 45 Indians are detained in New Mexico, while 52 Indians are held in Oregon. Most of the detainees are at the federal facilities who are seeking asylum, claiming that they have experienced violence or persecution in their home country. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said that her country remains safe for foreigners and migrants. Speaking at a town hall meeting with students at the German Jordanian University near Amman, Merkel reassured the Jordanian student that, quote-unquote, she need not be afraid of going to Germany.
Ich glaube, im Großen und Ganzen müssen Sie keine Angst haben. Ich kann jetzt nicht ausschließen, dass irgendjemand auch mal eine schlechte Bemerkung macht. Aber das kann, glaube ich, überall einmal vorkommen. Aber im Großen und Ganzen ist Deutschland weiter ein sicheres Land, auch wenn es Vorfälle gegeben hat, sowohl bei denen ausländische Bürger Anwürfen und Angriffen ausgesetzt waren. Aber es hat leider auch Ereignisse gegeben, wo Flüchtlinge junge Mädchen zum Beispiel ermordet haben. Also wir haben von beiden Seiten solche Dinge.
The Chancellor added that she recognized Jordan's recent wave of protests where thousands took to the street against a series of the IMF-guided tax rises, and that led to the resignation of the government due to a difficult economic situation in the country. Earlier this week, Merkel pushed other European Union leaders to further curb immigration and restrict movement of asylum seekers within the European Union to help keep her ruling coalition from crumbling at home. Her coalition partner, the Christian Social Union from the southern German state of Bavaria, has said that it would bar from Germany all asylum seekers registered in other EU states unless a summit of all EU leaders on June 28 to 29 agrees a bloc-wide deal to share them out evenly. The Seychelles president will be on a 6-day India visit beginning today. President Foyer will commence his India tour with a visit to Ahmedabad, which will make him the fourth head of the country to visit the city in the last 9 months. While President Foyer lands in India later in the evening, his public engagements begin only from the following day. The Seychelles president will head the Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad on Saturday, where he will interact with the faculty members and the students. President Foyer will also then take a tour of the Gandhi Ashram, followed by a visit to the Gujarat Forensic Sciences University in Gandhinagar, where he is expected to meet police and intelligence officers from Seychelles who are undergoing training at the university. President of Archipelago will then head to Raj Bhavan to meet governors before departing for Goa. He would next journey into New Delhi, where he will meet India's President and Vice President. He would also hold bilateral talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi here in the national capital.
Being one of dictate by a big country and a small country. And I think it is in this context that I believe that Seychelles, our relationship will grow with both India and China. I have decided not to submit the agreement to National Assembly for ratification because I received the signals that it won't go.
Joining me on the program today to discuss more on this is our principal diplomatic correspondent, Siddhant Sibal. Siddhant, how important is this visit and what kind of tensions does it bring, or maybe even some good deals that are about to be signed?
Well, the main focus will be on defense. Remember, in the exclusive conversation, the president said that how the Assumption Island deal, which was signed during the Indian Prime Minister's visit in 2015, could not be passed, will not be put in front of the Parliament, and it couldn't be passed because he doesn't have the majority. So domestic compulsions there, not making sure that this deal will happen or not happen. But by and large, India and Seychelles have strong defense ties. During this visit, one important event that's going to take place on Tuesday will be that India is going to hand over a Dornier aircraft. This is the second one India is handing. In 2013, India handed over the first aircraft to Seychelles, and a number of high-level defense engagements have already taken place between Seychelles and India, including joint defense military exercises, and INS Sunayana and INS Mumbai have already visited the country. And remember, this country is very important geostrategically because it, of course, is in the part of the Indian Ocean where a lot of trade happened from Africa to Asia, and this trade route has to be protected, and that is why India had suggested this facility in the Assumption Islands, which of course will protect the country from piracy. Even though this country has a very small land mass, remember the economic zone, the economics zone, which of course forms a part of the entire country, is almost on the size of the South African countries such as Madagascar and of course South Africa. But other than defense, this 5-day visit will focus him going to various locations across the country. He of course lands in India in 1 hour's time. He will be landing in Ahmedabad. He will be going to Goa, where he will visit a naval facility. He will be going to Dehradun, and of course in New Delhi, number of high-level engagements with the Prime Minister, of course President and External Affairs Minister, focusing on increased engagement between both the countries.